Hi, my name is Ava Fritz, and today I am going to be showing you how to do game design in Roblox. So, first things first, you need to have a Roblox account and you need to have Roblox Studio. I have already gone ahead and loaded up a blank base plate level, and as you can see, this is our UI. To our left, we have the toolbox and terrain editor. To our right, we have our Explorer and properties. I will be explaining more about these as we go along. And to the top, we have different tabs. I am going to mainly be going between home, model, and test. So first things first, I am going to click these to get rid of editor and toolbox. When you're designing a level, it is very important that you start greyboxing or drawing it out and figuring out what you want to do. Because as important as all of this is, you need an idea. You can always go back and do that. So we are going to go up here to the parts and pick up a block. Now you can see it's been added over here. And you might notice that there are quite a few items. So everything in our level is in here. And here's the properties for this part, from our materials to everything. Up here is, I don't know the term, but this block, if you click it, will go between different views. And it's highlighted blue so you know where it is. Or what I prefer doing is right-clicking and dragging along the camera to just move it. And I'm also using WASD to move. So right click holding to turn and then WASD to move it around. If you look right here, I have a snap to grid. So if we move that to 0.5, it can only move 0.5. And that also works for the scale. So this is what we're going to do. Our little transform buddy here can help with a lot of things. You can see the snap right here, how it's going in 0.5. The 45 degrees is for our rotation over here. I realize it's probably important to explain what these gizmos are. So this will just select items. There's nothing special, but these. If I want to change the movement of a specific one, I can go to move and, well, scale, changes the size. And everything will stay the same except for the piece that you're moving. And this is our rotation. And these rings, these little dots and arrows, those are usually called gizmos. So I will be using that terminology. Right, so I have sized the floor to where I want, and I am going to be changing the material. Now there's multiple ways to do this. You can do it in the properties, or you can do it up here in the parts tab of our model. So what I'm going to be doing is through here, I will be clicking, I think this flint right here is a nice color, so I can just click it. Of course, you can do it here as well. And it's also important to note that naming materials is a huge thing. So I'm going to right click and hit rename, and let's call this floor. And this will be our board. Okay. Something very important to do with Roblox that is not applied to others is to make sure that your items are anchored. So we should make sure you go ahead and anchor everything. You can anchor it while you're building or anchor after the fact. It does not matter. And you might be wondering what the purpose of anchoring is. Now, if you see right here, there is a nice, lovely gap between our objects. But if I play, you will notice that our gap has now fallen to the ground as this item is affected by gravity. If I desired, I could probably also try and tip it over, as it has already started to do. This item, which is anchored, I am unable to move no matter how much I try. Same for this one. But this one, which is not anchored, can be pushed. Now, there are times where not anchoring is required. Let's say you have a ball or some sort of object that is supposed to be pushed around. Then that's fine. If you need something to be affected by gravity, that also works. But these stands are not supposed to be pushed around, so we will need to go ahead and anchor everything. That is important to mention. In the beginning stages, it might not matter, and this is completely up to your decision. But for me, I would like to have all of these anchored, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. The anchoring can be found in the property stand under the properties under part. I highly recommend you do that to the walls of any building, as otherwise things can get weird. Alright, so over here I have a series of cylinders and blocks brought together, and I want to show you one of my favorite parts of the Roblox editor, and that is the solid modeling. So we have 3 identical cylinders and 3 identical cubes, each put together in an identical manner. And there, if you notice, there is a texture issue where the 2 overlap, and I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold left click and drag over both of them. And then I'm going to click union, and that's going to fuse the parts together. And now it's one bit. Now you can notice a seam, however, I have not found a way to fix that. Over here, if I shift click both, I am going to intersect, and it leaves us with just the piece that it was with. And I very much enjoy that. Now, negate. That works a bit differently. There are two items that can come out of negate, and it depends on what you do. What I'm going to do is click the cylinder and then click negate. You have to choose one for negate. And then, if I click both and use union, it instead puts a hole. Now, that is always great and all, but something important to note is that when using the solid modeling, the materials will become one. So that was plastic, and then once you fuse them together, it becomes fabric, as I had that piece set to fabric. I have not found a way around this. Now it is time to put everything that we've learned together. Now, normally this is the point in time where we would do a playtest. However, I already did my playtest to show you anchoring. And now what that playtest will do is see, hey, is everything anchored that you want it to be anchored? Is everything the correct scale and stuff like that? During my anchoring showcase, I had discovered that our little host stands here are a little too tall. So I'm going to work on that, and I'll get back to you if there's anything else. So I don't know if you saw in the video, but there was a sliver available that you could see. That's one of the reasons why it's important when you're doing your negate to make sure that the piece you're negating is usually a little bit bigger. It makes sure it catches everything. Otherwise, you're going to have something weird like that. Sorry if I sound different. I'm recording this a few days after my initial recording. And, well, or something. I've also learned I've been hitting right click to do a lot of my stuff, specifically like duplicating, which you can also use Control D. That's why you see me like spawning extra objects. And I noticed that's not available. You cannot see those pieces in the recording. I am so sorry about that. So right here I'm going to do right clicking, and I'm clicking duplicate on my tab. You can hit Control D, and I'm just going to be making it a bit smaller. See, normally I would do it. There we go. Let's do it like that. So I'm making a screen right now. So let's bring that in. There we go. And so the color tab right here, I realize you also can't see, because I click it and there's a hexagon, which is not available to you all. But yeah. And here we are. I think that's an efficient gray box, don't you think? And of course, from here you can go into more and more detail, but I think this is good enough for a basic room. Anyways, thank you all. This has been a great way to talk to you, and I hope to see you again soon.